Hello there, vinyl community and YouTube. JorgenS here. Starting to get almost a chart channel here, because I think this is the third top 10 chart in a row that I'm doing. After the year in review and George Michael's tribute. But after this, from what I know, if some other musical legend isn't going to pass away, hopefully there won't be any more top 10 for a while that aren't 10 from 1. That is the only top 10 charts that I will do now for a while, hopefully. What you saw in the beginning was something that I filmed at New Year's Eve at the port here in Sundsvall. It was a little short part of the fireworks that they had during New Year's Eve. It was a real fantastic and great one. If it wasn't for that before this, the 12 o'clock and the fireworks, there were a massive techno dance music playing on high loudspeakers all over the port, and my ears were ringing. If it was at least from the 90s, but they were from today, 2016 then, in that case, and it was horrible music, and I have to stand it because to see the fireworks and to be a part of when the clock strikes 12 o'clock and 2017 would begin. Then afterwards they started to play Michael Jackson Thriller and all these classics. Couldn't they have began with that so they could have the disco afterwards? But the fireworks were very impressive, so I hope you enjoyed it. There have been some who have been longing for this. I have had some comments in various videos from people who wants to see a continuum on my decade series 10 for 1 and the 60s, and I will right now. So the 60s isn't also one of my absolute favorites decades. Better than the 50s, I admit that, when it comes to non-jazz. I can promise you there are no jazz here, because jazz in the 60s wasn't exactly my cup of tea. So here there are only music that are in the genres of pop or cult classics, because there are some songs that were so hilariously funny that they were really good, and some of these have also made it to the top 10. But otherwise there was okay, easy, but as usual I won't be able to find any records when it comes to these songs. At least half of this chart I don't have any records from, so I hope you can bear with that. But some of them I do, of course. So let's move on with number 10. The final place, number 10, goes to a song that I discovered back in 1991-92, when in Sweden there was a television show called Crime Story, and the theme song from that television series was Del Shannon's Runaway, and I immediately thought that it was one of the coolest theme songs that we had on television, even though I was so interested in the show itself. But still, Runaway is an extremely great song, a very dramatic and well-made, well-produced song that I love, with a great organ that goes through the song. I really like this song, so Del Shannon, Runaway.
Number 9.
Number 9 goes to one of these songs that are very, very, very funny songs. That was in the 60s. Was a lot of great songs that were humorous and that made you think that were they thinking? I know that there were a lot of drugs in the 60s, but this song I heard for very, very many years, and first time I heard it, I wondered, how could they come up with something like that? I'm talking about Jack Ross, big band leader. I think he's mostly famous for this song, Happy Jose or Ching Ching. A song that after a while you can't stop wiggling and singing to yourself, because it is very, very catchy, and it's an extremely funny song with some normally horrible horns that sounds almost like they were ripped from some James Last album, but extremely funny here. And all of a sudden in the refrain, a man for no reason at all starts to laugh hysterically. So Jack Ross with Sing. Sing has been with me for many years, and I'm happy to have one of the singles. And the other songs are here on this EP. Margarita, Limho Stomp and Milwaukee Stomp is also really great, because it's the closest thing to jazz we come in this chart, because they are actually some genuine interesting jazz songs. But Happy Jose and Ching Ching is of course the best song of this one. A song that really puts a smile on my face every time I hear it.
Number 8.
Coming to a band that I'm no huge fan of, but I guess it felt wrong to leave out this band when you're talking about the 60s. And actually the Beatles has released some great songs. Just outside, as an honorable mention, you will see A Hard Day's Night, a childhood memory from the years that I talked about in my previous 1950s videos, that from the time in the 80s when I had an interest in listening to older music. This one at number 8 is a song that I think is maybe the best pop song that Beatles did. It is the best song that Beatles did. The most it's not that kind of a rock song that's their normal stuff. This is a very, very almost relaxing pop song with a great melody, with a great production, and I really always loved this one as my favorite Beatles song, All My Loving. Always been a huge fan of this melody.
Number 7.
Number 7 goes to a band that I actually been a good fan of. I think they made some really great music, but I don't have all that much records with them. I'm starting to collect records with one of the members, but as I don't collect the 60s, it hasn't been that I have bought any records with the entire group. I'm talking about Simon and Garfunkel. They made some really, really good songs, but I think my favorite is this one that I heard it the first time when I was a kid, and my friend Otto played it on his electric organ when he was a kid. He recorded it on a cassette tape, and I got a copy of it, and I really, really liked it, but not knowing what the song was. Then I found out that it was the song Sound of Silence from 1964, and it was the Simon and Garfunkel song, and I like the tone. in Sound of Silence. This is a greatest hits album with the song on. And I always like the tone in this song. It's a little sad and sad song that is really relaxing and well produced, really well made, and great lyrics. So it's a song that has been with me for most of my life, and I definitely love it.
Number 6.
Sticking with the songs that are a little bit sad and that are ballads, there's a video to this song, and as usual I will publish links in the description area to these songs. Those that I have been able to find, I think I will be able to find all of them. The video for this song is not all that good. You can tell that the music video business is a little bit in its childhood here, but it's really funny to see this early tries to do a music video. Procol Harum, A Whiter Shade of Pale, a really classic song with an organ that goes through that I love very much, and a very little dramatic and sad tone in the entire song that I really like. Overall, I think the 60s were a year with a lot of sadness and dramatic in the songs very much, and a little weak for that. But really relaxing and great mood in this song that I've always been a huge fan of.
Number 5.
Number 5, going from the little sad, dramatic and slow to the hysterically funny and weird. I mentioned this in a previous video. I think it was vinyl collector James that wanted us to talk about our feel-good songs, and I mentioned this one because this is a really feel-good song for me that really puts a smile on my face, and I really hope to get the single for this one day. Talking about the Trashmen and Surfing Bird. For you youngsters out there, it is the song that Peter Griffith in Family Guy is crazy about. But the first time I heard this song I wondered, what is this? Such an totally hilariously and weird song that they must have some great imagination, or maybe they have taken something that you shouldn't take. I don't know, but it is really unpredictable song, great produced, and it's happening things every time in this song, and it's a really good one. I really think it is a hysterically funny song that really makes you wonder what the devil did, what they thinking when they did this song. But it is such a great and funny song.
Number 4.
The only Swedish melody on this chart. I'm a huge fan of Swedish 60s music, at least the one who is in Swedish, the 60s Schlager songs. There have been some really great ones in there, but I didn't want to put them in here because many of you may not know what it is, but they will show up in some in the honorable mentions. But there's one 60s song that I really wanted to have, and I've shown this one a couple of times. That's an honorable mention. In the 50s, you could see Neil Sedaka with One Way Ticket, and in a place in the chart itself, you will find the Swedish version made by a girl from up north in Sweden, named Eleanor Bodel, and this Swedish version is always been a huge fan of it because also a song with a great mood, and it's very dramatic, sad, but it's not a ballad here. It's, of course, it is. It's almost like a sad train going through the night when you listen to this one, and really, really awesome produced, really great produced, and in the description area you will see a link to the video of this one, and check that out, because it's a for its time, it is unlike Procol Harum. It is a really great video made by Swedish director Lasse Hallström, Gilbert Grape. He did, but this is when he did a music video in the 60s, and it could have been done later in the 80s or 90s also. It's that well made. But One Way Ticket with Eleanor Bodel, in my opinion, is better than the original, even though the original is also a really great one, because this one is so dramatic and really, really fantastic, well made.
Number 3.
An artist that was also placed in the 50s chart. I think also there it was number 3. Of course, the 60s, I got to have some Elvis Presley, even though I'm not the biggest fan. He has done some really great songs, and one of my absolute favorites is this one, Suspicious Minds. Fantastic arrangement. Fantastic orchestral arrangement, fantastic singing by Elvis and the choir, and a really great mood in the song. Great lyrics also. Always been a huge fan of this song. Suspicious Minds is always been a favorite of mine. It was a must to have that one here.
Number 2.
Number 2 is a song from a band, from an album that I desperately want to have in a good shape and not too expensive. I'm talking about Chicago's Transit Authority. But on that album is a song that I'm really a huge fan of. I think I saw the single from that one in Poughkeepsie's singles videos recently. I'm talking about I'm a Man. I don't have, as I said, Transit Authority or the single, but I have a Chicago collection, double CD disc, a really great one. And I'm a Man is really rock funk classic. So great horns, really great singing by Peter Cetera, very young Peter Cetera, and really awesome, well-made song. A really pure genius when it comes to the song. It's a fantastic song, really funky one that also puts a smile on my face every time I hear it, because how funky and great it is. So, with that, we've gone through 10 to number 2, and it's time to take a look at other 60 songs that were outside of this chart but didn't really make it to the top 10. So here are some great honorable mentions of other songs from the 60s. So as you can see, even though 60s isn't my main priority when it comes to collecting, there are some really great songs and really great music from the 60s also that I like very much. Of course, I might have some influence by my father, who is loved the 60s, at least the first part of the 60s. But number 1.
And finally, number 1.
and this one was pretty natural. When I was thinking which songs I were going to have here, this one was the song that I thought of first of all, that this one will definitely be number one, because they've been with me from all the way from childhood. Back in the days when I was had a huge interest in 60s, around 87, 88, I discovered a radio show in Swedish radio where they had a portrait in I think it was in 3 or 4 parts about Elvis Presley, and I had a cassette recording of the final part with songs from this magnificent album, my absolute favorite Elvis album, from Elvis in Memphis, and this is definitely my favorite album from the 60s, I might say. The winner of that short might be. Really like Moving On, what a great song that is. Long Black Limousine, love that one. After Loving You also, and of course In the Ghetto. But even though In the Ghetto is the one who is on the main song on this single here, it's not that one that is number one, even though it's a great one. Some might think that now Elvis had made it to top 3 on the 50s and have 2 songs of the 60s, and I'm saying that I'm not a huge Elvis fan, but I'm not. But he has done those songs that he has made that are on this chart are so great that I want to have them, and Elvis is, I think, one of few, if not the only one, who is able to have 2 songs from the same artist on the top 10. But I felt I wanted to have both Suspicious Minds and Any Day Now, that I've always been a huge fan of. Any Day Now is have a fantastic orchestral arrangement, really relaxing and great song, and the horns that comes up in the intro is so magnificent. And the melody is so fantastic. I think definitely this is Elvis' best song ever, and says a lot about my interest of Elvis. I'm not a huge fan of these overplayed songs that you hear every day, Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock, and so on. I'm all shook up. I prefer Elvis' more laid-back style. That he did when he returned after his military service, and Any Day Now is really proof of that, how fantastic and relaxed song this is. So Any Day Now, my absolute favorite songs ever from the 60s. So that was the 60s. Now the hardest parts are over, the 50s and the 60s. Moving on now to the 70s, it'll be a little bit easier since it's one of my right now favorite decades. So I don't know when that will be up, but hopefully not too long in the future. Hopefully pretty near future it will be up. So until next time, I hope that each and every one of you have a really nice week, and take care and keep spinning.